Hello, and welcome to the second part of teaching my mum Yu-Gi-Oh! Last week we looked at the Gizmek, Grandmaster Gizmek specifically. This week we're looking at Blue Eyes White Dragon, specifically the Invoked package, although it's got quite a large synchro package in. So without further ado, let's start with the deck list. First of all, two Blue Eyes White Dragons. I can't tell if you can see, but one of them is actually Italian. It doesn't matter because it's still a TCG language. The only ones you can't play is the OCG ones. They're different thickness, so they're noticeable. Normal monster, no effects, needs 2 tributes to normal summon. Not that tends to happen, and is the main monster the deck is focused around. Then we have 3 Sage with Eyes of Blue. It's one of the many level 1 light tuners. It's a spellcaster. It's when normal summons you can add another level 1 light tuner from your deck to hand, except another copy of itself, or you can discard it to target effect monster you control, to send to graveyard, to special summon out a Blue Eyes monster, and can use that once per turn. Next is Maiden, but specifically the retrain from the latest set, the Destiny structured set. Level 1 light spellcaster tuner. Most of this stuff in this deck is spellcasters or dragons. This you can send from hand or field to graveyard to place True Light, which is a trap, face up from hand, deck or graveyard in the spell and trap zone, which means it's active straight away. If you special summon Blue Eyes White Dragons while this is in your graveyard, this will special summon out for free. And if its effect or attack targets it, you can summon out a Blue Eyes White Dragon or another level 1 light tuner from graveyard once per turn. So very rarely see field for long. Then we have an optional card, one Master with the Eyes of Blue. Again, it's a level 1 light spellcaster tuner. If it's normal summoned, you add a level 1 light tuner in your graveyard back to your hand. You can shuffle this card from graveyard into deck, target an effect monster, send it to the graveyard, and to summon out a Blue Eyes from your graveyard. And well, Blue Eyes once, and then that's a once per turn. The other one-off optional, well, main optional in the deck, Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. It's a level 8 dragon. While it's on the field, other cards you control cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. And it's got 2 once per turn effects. We've got a Blue Eyes White Dragon on field or graveyard. When a card's destroyed, this can summon itself out from hand or graveyard. And at the start of the damage step, if it battles, you can bounce an opponent's cards back to hand. Does not have to be the one it's targeting. Then we have the main, well, one of the main spells for the deck, Wishes for Eyes of Blue. Again, it's from the newest Destiny set. You discard a card to add a level 1 light tuner and one spell trap that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon from deck to hand, except for itself. And you can banish this from graveyard to equip them and targets a Blue Eyes White Dragon. You equip it with an X monster, you give it 400 attack, and I'll explain why that's useful in a bit. We have one Mausoleum of White, the field spell. This lets you have an additional normal summon of a 1 level 1 light tuner in addition to your regular normal summon once per turn. And you can target a face-up monster you control to send a normal monster, so Blue Eyes White Dragon in this case, from hand or deck to graveyard, and if you do, that monster gains attack or defense equal to the level times 100, so 800 attack until the end of this turn. And it's got an effect you can banish from graveyard to add Bursting of Destruction, but that doesn't matter in this deck. Next up we have 2 copies of Roar of the Blue Light Dragons. You can play more, well, 2 to 1 is the one, you could play a third in theory. This lets you special summon in defense position a blue ice monster from your deck, graveyard or banished. But if you do not control Blue Ice White Dragon, it has to be Blue Ice White Dragon, although it can be any if you've got control Blue Ice White Dragon in your field. You can also banish this card from your graveyard to fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from hand or field, including Blue Ice monster. And you can only use 1 effect per turn, and only once in a turn. This is also the main spell you're searching of Wishes. Then we have True Light, the main trap for Blue Eyes. It protects Blue Eyes White Dragon from being targeted effects. And it lets you special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from hand or graveyard. And you can set a trap from your deck that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon as long as it's got a different name to a spell or trap that's already in your graveyard or on the your graveyard. The caveat with this is if it's destroyed and sent to graveyard, it's a board wipe. Mandatory effect has to wipe your board. There are ways around it, but you've got to bear that in mind. Next, the ultimate creature of destruction. Not everyone plays this. Most people tend to play the Majesty trap, but I prefer this one. You target a blue ice monster you control this turn, and that face-up monster is unaffected by card effects, except its own. And it cannot be destroyed by battle, and any monster it battles is destroyed at the end of the damage step instead. And while this card is in the graveyard, if you normal special summon Blue Ice White Dragon, it sets itself back to the field, but banished if it leaves the field. Onto the Invoke engine. This will have a slight modification, but I left some of the cards the other day. So, 1 Magical Meltdown. This is the field spell. I want to add 2 more, but I'll mention what I want to replace in a minute. So when this card's activated, you add Alistair the Invoker from deck to hand. And then it means activation of cards or effects that fusion summon cannot be negated, and they can't activate in response to me using a fusion. Then we have 3 Alistair the Invoker. This is a level 4 spellcaster. Quick effect, you can send it from hand to graveyard to target a fusion monster you control, gains 1000 attack defense at end of turn. If you normal summon or flip, so if you set it and then flip it face up, you can also add Invocation from your deck to hand. Speaking of it, 1 Invocation. This is the fusion spell for Alistair and the Invoked engine. It lets you fusion summon. You can either do it from field, hand, or you can banish from either player's graveyard as fusion materials, specifically for an invoked monster. And then graveyard effect, I can banish this to add an Alistair back from banished. Non-engine, but useful, 1 Bestial Magnamot. This is the only Bestial I run. You target a light or dark monster in either graveyard and banish it, and if you do, this special summons out. Quick effect if your opponent controls a monster, so you can do it on their turn. If this is special summoned, you activate the effect, but then in the end phase you can search out a dragon. So you have to declare effect in the main phase, but in the phase it actually goes off. Unlike Gizmex, this is hand trap, so it's happy playing first or second. So 3 Ash Blossom. When an effect that either adds a card from deck to hand, special summons from deck, or sends a card from deck to graveyard. You discard to negate the activation. 3 effect failure. During your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can negate that monster's effects, so it can't use them until after the end of the turn. It is also a level 1 light spellcaster tuner, so can be searched out with the use of Sage. 2 ghost spells, probably the ones I'm going to swap out for the field spell. These, again, like Ash Blossom, you can discard it if effects adding cards from graveyards to hand, deck or extra deck, special summoning from the graveyard, or banishing from the graveyard. It's got very niche matchup. 2 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. If a spell or trap that's already face up on the field activates its effect, or a monster on the field activates its effect, you can send this card from hand or field. This is the only ghost girl, as we call the hand traps, that can work from the field, and it doesn't negate, but it destroys them and sends them to graveyard. Then we have 2 Nibiru, and this one we need a token. After 5 summons or more, you can summon this from hand if your opponent does 5 or more summons. It wipes the board, it creates a token, which ends up with its attack and defense being the combined attack and the defense of all the monsters that are on the board. Usual trick is to, if you're doing this, is you choose how the token goes. So you normally put it in defense because you don't want them to go, I attack into you, because that is gain. Then the rest of the hand traps. Call by, which we had in Gizmex, just a reminder. Banish, negate, it's a quick effect. Any monster in your opponent's until the end of the next turn. Triple Tactics Talents. This is a one-off due to ban list. I thought I had this one in Gizmex, I clearly took it out. If your opponent activates a monster effect during your main phase, i.e. 9 times out of 10, one of these hand traps, you can choose one of several effects. Draw 2 cards. Take control of the monsters your opponent controls until the end phase. Or you can look at your opponent's hand and choose one to shuffle back on the deck. And you can only use them once per turn, but there's only one now, so that's fine. 3 Metal Tronus. This is a quick play spell. You can activate on your opponent's turn if set, in your back row. So you target a face-up non-token monster your opponent controls. Special summon 1 monster from your hand, deck, or extra deck, and that has 2 or more of the same type, attribute, and/or attack to negate its effect. If it's the same name, you banish both face down. So here, most of my deck, I can do lights or darks, and dragons or spellcasters. Then, the last card for the main deck, 3 Infinite Impermanence. You can target 1 monster your opponent controls to negate its effect until end of turn. If this card was set on the field, you then negate that column's spell and trap zone for your opponent. If you don't control anything, you can use it as a hand trap, but you don't get the negator column. And that's the main deck of Blue Eyes. Is there anything you want to know before we go into the extra deck?
Yes, there's an awful lot of information here. Do you have any strategies, methods for memorising this data?
So, I mean, practicing always helps, but we tend to, a lot of people associate with picture. So, at a quick glance, I know if I see an Alistair, my opponent plays that, oh, they're going to grab Invocation, or they're going to bait me into grabbing Invocation and negating it. So pictures often help in learning when you're practicing.
Okay.
I know a couple of people occasionally come up with silly names for cards just to help. But there's the joke Yu-Gi-Oh players don't read. We just look at the pictures. But there is an element of truth because not only do we need to know our deck, but we need to know as much information as we can about the meta decks, which can be quite a few decks depending on what's being played in Rogue or in the meta at the time. So there. And some people just have excellent memories. Extra deck. 2 Spirit with Eyes of Blue. This is your Link 1. That just needs a level 4 or lower dragon or spellcaster monster. Majority of the main deck can make it. It does dragon lock you, so you can't make anything outside of dragons, which isn't a huge problem for this deck. But that's while this is on the field. Once it's left, it's fine. This adds you the field spell to hand, Muslim of Light, and you can tribute to summon out a Blue Eyes White Dragon from graveyard. Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres at 1. You only need. Some people will play 2. I'm happy with 1. Just needs 2 dragon monsters. If it's in the extra monster zone, you can tribute monster from hand or field to return a face-up monster card on the field to the hand. If this is tributed, you special summon a dragon monster from hand or deck, but its attack and defense becomes 0, and you can only use it once per turn. So this is Seal's Pass is probably you've not had a good hand, but it's a play that gets you into stuff. 1 Tyrant Dragon. This can be fusion summoned with Blue Eyes White Dragon or a dragon monster, or using wishes, if you equip a monster to Blue Eyes, you can contact fuse, kind of like we did for Chess and Gizmex, to make it. This is a useful card. It attacks all monsters your opponent controls once in the battle phase, and it cannot be affected by trap cards or effects. And if it takes part in a battle, end of damage step, even if it's your opponent's turn, you can reset a trap from graveyard to field. 2 Invoked Macabre. This is the invoked monster you make, and you want to make this before your 5th summon. So this needs Alistair the Invoker plus a light monster. Once per turn, when a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, you send the same type of card from hand to graveyard to negate and banish that card. So this stops Nibiru, because you get to the 5th summon, they go, I activate Nibiru, you go, discard a monster, no, you keep your board. Next up, Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. This is your wishes target to equip to Blue Eyes. So, because it requires the Blue Eyes to summon, you're never summoning it. But you want it in the graveyard, because if they target a Blue Eyes monster, you banish from graveyard to negate the effect. Onto the Synchro package. We have Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, which needs a tuner and at least one non-tuner monster. This can be hard made with any of your tuners and Magnamot. So to get into Synchro, you have to have a tuner monster. This, if it's summoned, or a level 5 or higher monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, you can target a special summoned monster to return it to hand, or extra deck, once per turn. So it's just a, oh cool, you've made something. No, I'm stopping it. 1 Lightstorm Dragon. Again, 1 tuner plus 1 plus non-tuner monsters. If this card is special summoned, you target spells and traps on the field up to the number of normal monsters in your graveyard plus 1, so you always get at least 2, and destroy them. If this card is destroyed by battle card effect, you target a spell or trap in your graveyard to set it, but you can't activate it unless you've got a normal monster on board the same turn. Azure Eyes Silver Dragon. This protects your dragon monsters from being targeted or destroyed by card effects until the end of your next turn. End of the next turn, sorry. And once per turn, if it's there in the standby phase, you can target a normal monster in your graveyard to special summon it. Crimson Dragon. in the wrong place. But anyway, this card's special summoned. You can add a spell or trap that, well, we don't worry about that effect because we don't want anything that it can target. The effect we are after with this is you can target a level 7 or higher synchro monster on the field, except Crimson Dragon, to return this to the extra deck to summon out a Dragon Synchro monster from your extra deck with the same level as the targeted monster. I am currently missing the other one that makes this combo really good, but you can still kind of get away with it. 2 Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. This requires a Blue Eyes monster and a non-tuner Blue Eyes monster and a tuner. This stops both you and your opponent from summoning 2 or more monsters simultaneously. So no pendulum summoning. Once per turn, if there's an effect in the graveyard, you can quick effect negate, and quick effect, you can tag this out to make any of the light Dragon Synchro monsters, but they get destroyed in the end phase. Then the final one, Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon, which needs 2+ tuners, plus 1 non-tuner Blue Eyes monster to heart make it. Your opponent cannot banish from your graveyard, so it stops you being hit by Bestials. And once per turn, if a card or effect is activated, you negate and you gain 1000 attack till the end of turn. So kind of like Dragoon for Dark Magician and Red Eyes, but it's not permanent. And if this card's destroyed by battle or card effect, you special summon a light dragon monster from your graveyard except itself. So you can go Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, make this end phase, bring back out Spirit Dragon. And that's the extra deck.
How do you decide what's in the main deck and what's in the extra deck?
So there's, particularly like Blue Eyes and decks, there's a lot of cards you could in theory play. It's working out what's good, what's not. Now you can speak to people and there's deck lists you can find. There'll be a lot of people who have videos which will have make this, so this is how I play the deck. What you'll find is a lot of people will end up with the same consensus, maybe 1 or 2 cards different, but that's what side decks are for, and even they are quite regular. But there's just certain things that just end up accepted based on what support's out, what the meta is. So at the moment, most people are running Artifact Lancia still in their their side deck, because Malice is about and that stops banishing. Blue Eyes got a lot of new support in the recent structure deck, which actually kind of makes it playable. So what happens is we strip down to 2 Blue Eyes, took out basically most of what was played, and it's kind of playable now, because you have to, there's certain cards you'll always have to play because they're good, but it's discerning what's good is a good card, what's not always easy to do, because like we've got information for Alliance Insight, which comes out a couple of weeks, 1st of May. So they will reveal cards and we read them and we'll go, that sounds good, or we're not so sure about that. But it's not till we see them being played and tested do we know. And you'll look at, if you watch the like the YCSs and the big events, people will do deck list breakdowns, and you'll see and you can see what people are playing on Neuron on the app. So you know what people are playing, what people maybe aren't playing, and then you get some people like me who'll try and experiment to find out, well, why is no one playing this? Can this be utilised in a particular build? Because occasionally some of them need very niche builds. It's like they reprinted the Chaos package, which is Ritual for Blue Eyes. No one's playing that because it's just either too slow or just not good to be competitively viable. So, a couple of hands for Blue Eyes. So, I'll put that one in. I'll do a pure Blue Eyes, a more invoked heavy one. That. Wishes, Maiden, and Sage. So, I've got Sage, a Maiden, a Wishes, an Ash Blossom, and a Nibiru. So, going first, because this can go first, I'd probably go discard Maiden. I forgot to give this a quick shuffle, because I forgot to do a shuffle. I'll just give it a quick one, it'll be fine. Yeah, I'll give it a bit more of one in a minute. Make, where is it? Did I go past it? Yes, I did. True Light is now active. I can choose to use that effect, but I'm not yet. Then, I'm going first. I don't want Nibiru in hand. I'm going to play Wishes, discard the Nibiru. I'm going to add, because it makes, I'm going to add a failure. It's a negate on my opponent's turn. I've now got 2 negates, not that my opponent would know about that one. And then I add, not Meltdown, Roar. Now I have everything I need to start the combo. Sage. Normal Sage. Effect. I'll be that person and I'll go for a second failure. This is not a once per turn, and it means I have plays if I really want to. Then I go into Spirit. Effect of Spirit, assuming it's not negated, add Mausoleum to hand. Play Mausoleum. Then I'm going to use Mausoleum effect target. It has to be a normal monster. So the first Blue Eyes, I see, goes to Graveyard. Now I go Spirit into Blue Eyes. Effect of Maiden, special, Synchro into one of my spirits. Then I'll play Roar. Summon out the Blue Eyes. I'll normal one of the failures because of Mausoleum. It's a level 1 light tuner. I can. And I'm going to make the other spirit. This is what we call, this is the difference between a hard once per turn and a soft once per turn. Hard, I could only activate one of them. Soft, it's per copy. So I can activate both of these in one turn. Then, True Light effect. Bring out Blue Eyes. Banish the Wishes. Equip Neo. Contact Fuse into Tyrant Dragon. Then I'd pass turn.
Wow, okay.
On their turn, I can jump the gun here. Because the quick effect, I can do these whenever. So you tag both out. Then there's several plays depending on what you want, but I'm going to do the Blue Eyes Crimson Dragon line just to show you how Crimson Dragon works. Effect of Crimson Dragon. Target ultimate. Crimson goes back to deck. It brings out the other alternate. They do stuff. End phase. This one, because it was made by Spirit, goes. Effect. Bring one back out.
Okay.
That's now ready to go again. And that's just off the blue eyes line.
Right.
I'll now do a invoked line, and then I'll try and do an invoked blue eyes line, because you can do both in theory with the right hand. I'll sort those out properly in a minute. But yeah, blue eyes is what we call a mid-range deck. So it's perfectly good. Actually, no, I'll do that one. I'll have a wishes. I'll have a maiden. I'll have a sage. 1, 2, 3, 4, and well, you know what? I'll have a Nibiru. It serves its purpose. Going first, you can be plucky and choose to use Nibiru as fodder. So, this is a very hope your opponent doesn't have negates and stuff. So, first of all, I'd still play the maiden, get the true light, just because that's what you really want to do. I'll get this shuffled. Like, yes, if it gets destroyed, you're popping your board, but there are ways around it. So, for example, Spirit Dragon, because it's a graveyard effect, can negate True Light's destruction effect, for example. Then, I'm going to go Magical Meltdown, add Alistair the Invoker. So there's an Alistair. I normal Alistair. Effect, add Invocation to hand. I now have everything I need to go full combo, but I need to kick off the blue eyes line first. So, Alistair's a level 4 spellcaster. It makes Spirit Dragon. I have not lost starters. In fact, I've gained starters by having Alistair. Then I add the wishes. Not the wishes, the Mausoleum of Light to hand. So now, we're in a decent spot, and I've only summoned twice. I go Invocation. Banish Alistair. I could banish Maiden, but I want Maiden in. So I go Nibiru to graveyard. Make Macabre. I still have a monster in hand. But that's not a problem, because I'm still going to have a monster in hand. And they can't react because Meltdown's done. I don't care about Meltdown now, so I go Mausoleum of Light. You can activate as many spells as you want, within reason. So then I do the Foolish Rub. I do the target that. Keeping Sage for now, just in case, because that's fourth, because that was third summon, that's fourth. Maiden effect, if they're going to nib me, this is where you nib. But I've got that out.
Sorry, what's nib?
That's this one, that if you summon 5 or more times, you blow up the board, give them a token.
Right.
If they're going to do it, this is when you do it. That, not knowing what I've got in hand, I might have a monster. They might not risk it while that's on board, because I negate Banish, and then they've wasted a card, but they've wasted that activation, so it's a bit of an awkward one. But we're assuming they didn't draw nib for this play. So then I make Synchro number 1. I'll do it this way. I'll True Light for blue eyes. I then go wishes, discard sage. I'll add another sage, and I'll add raw. I get my second normal summon, normal sage, add a failure. Synchro, make the other ultimate spirit dragon. Now I use raw, bring up blue eyes one last time. I go for wishes, I equip. I contact fuse, and I make tyrant. Now I have to negate with monster in hand. I have attack many times, and I can tag out into things. This, and I've got protection from true light if they do pop it, and a negate there. This is the best board I can make at the moment. I could tag out on my turn if I wanted, but so I could, in theory, tag out, do the whole crimson ultimate, put that back ultimate, and still end on a spirit on my turn, which just gives me an omni negate, another omni negate, and a really decent board with a deterrent. So that's an ideal board. Let me show you a couple of less than ideal boards, because Blue Eyes has the nickname Brick Eyes because it used to be, because how you ran it originally, it used to brick to the point it was unplayable, and very occasionally you may still get that. So I'm going to keep failure out, and then I'm going to pick stuff that makes it really awkward to play. I'll pick that. I'll pick that. Ironically, that would be a particularly bad hand. No, it wouldn't, because jet. I'll put the, which one shall I put in? I'd probably put that one in, actually. So this is a bit of an awkward hand to play because you've got both your blue eyes like dragon. You don't want to see it, and because I've got two of my traps, one of which I want to be active straight away. So I have to set true light, unfortunately. Do I? Yes, I do, because I don't have... Yeah, and I have to set the ultimate creature of destruction. They're unplayable. Failure, I have to start failure. I then go into spirit. And then I have to go and grab Mausoleum. But then I can't activate it. I can't do the center graveyard because my two normal monsters are here. So I tribute for one blue eyes, and that's my board. Unfortunately, then on my opponent's turn, I can go protect that, true light, summon the other blue eyes. if I wanted to, but that's not a good hand to play. But failure in hand is still technically play. The other play I wanted to do was I wanted to show you Seal's Pass.
Okay.
I'll play with Maiden. I'll play with a Blue Eyes. I'll play with a Master. I'll play with Magnamart. And the last one doesn't really matter. I'll play with Wishes. I'll play with an Imperm, just because I've not done that yet. And I still want you to get even after shuffling. So not a great hand. So you set the Imperm because you're going first. You discard Maiden for the True Light effect. You then Master's probably a bad one to pick, but doesn't actually matter. True Light, I could in theory do a set or stuff, but I'm going to do I've been negated on that. They've played cards, so I can't access my extra deck, my deck like that. So unfortunately, I'm having to normal off True Light because of the effects they've done. Banish, so I can banish from Magnamart. Yeah, or I could normal go into Spirit. It doesn't actually matter, but then I'd end up on a board. You declare Magnamart effect anyway because it happens in end phase regardless, and you go Seal's Pass, and you go I'm not in the best position, but then you go on their effect, having added a dragon of that, you then go on their turn, bounce Weather to hand, bring out Jet probably, I realise. So it's still playable, but you don't want to be. Seal's Pass is not something you absolutely want to do unless you don't see any other play. So I'll do a couple of the shuffle hand and see what happens with the deck. Hopefully it's probably a bit better than Thursday, where it, as I say, I need to add at least one more of the Meltdown, but I need to grab those from my folder over the weekend. So, Ash Blossom, Ghost Ogre, Ash Blossom. So there you go, Brick Eyes being Brick Eyes. What I would do is, Ash Blossom is once per turn, so I'd set the Imperm, I'd play the Ghost Ogre, and I'd keep those, because I could play one Ash, and I can Ghost Ogre from field. As I say, sometimes Blue Eyes is Blue Eyes, and does not want you to play. Which is where deck consistency comes in. So, Blue Eyes has reached the point where, like some of the other top decks, it plays so many hand traps compared to Engine. Sometimes you just only see hand traps and you can't play. That's just the nature of with deck building you have to run a minimum number of hand traps these days, which means you've already got like half your deck built before you've actually built your deck. Which means some decks suffer because you're having to run so many hand traps to counter hand traps and to counter decks. You end up in this awkward situation where you brick decks more. We'll see. Let's hope this is a bit better. Yep, Sage, double Sage, Raw, Sailor, wishes. Okay, yeah, that is playable. So I'd sage first, and I would add maiden in this instance. I've got a failure. I want true light, so then I'd play it. Again, scanning through deck is just practice because you know what what letters you're looking for. Then I'd go into. I will reorganise before I let you play with this one, the extra decks I've modded up to go into Mausoleum. Nicely on the bottom for me. That never happens. So then I could, well, no, I'll wish as the other sage to add. I'll add master, and I don't need to add raw, so I will add the trap this time. If you've got it in hand, this not alright. So then I'd set the trap, target that for the blue light. You don't care you're wasting the attack level on that because you're doing it just to get blue eyes in rotation. So then I'd blue eyes, get the maiden, make the spirit, raw the blue eyes, do the. No, I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to do the wishes first this time. It doesn't make any difference. I'll do the make tyrant, and then I'll use the true light because I've not used it. Bring it out. Master effect. Add sage back to hand. Synchro off for the other spirit. And then I've got a trap set, which I can use on either of those. I've got true light life on their turn. I've got a failure. I've got a sage in hand. As you can see, this is a fairly standard end board you're after.
Yeah.
If you play a more synchro heavy deck, you'll get a slightly different one, but you normally try and end on double spirit. That's kind of where half your plays come from. And even in the Invoked, when you run so little fusion, you're playing mostly of the synchros. And we're playing pick-up cards. That happens occasionally. Cards get stuck together or they slip. Which is better than when it's worse when they're first out the sleeves because they're brand new. Do you want me to do another one or do you want to have a go?
I'll go.
Right, I'll just.
So this has similarities with Gizmek and differences.
Yes.
There's similarities in that you need to know the combos.
Yes.
But differences in that you don't need to build up your banish.
Yeah. Gizmek is older than. Well, no. Blue Eyes is older than Gizmek. Blue Eyes has been in from the start of the game. It's Kaiba, who's one of Yugi's kind of antagonists, kind of anti-hero. It's a bit but it got loads of support, whereas Gizmek has a very niche design. Not many. So there's a deck called Kashtira that banishes your opponent's stuff face down. Decks can't normally interact with face down banished. As far as I'm aware, and I'm sure comment section will let me know if I've missed any, but as far as I'm aware, Gizmek is the only one that has major face down banish interaction. Normally it's assumed once it's face down banished,
yeah.
That's it. Tokens you can keep them on top of your extra deck like that, as long as they're shown, so it's a token.
And when would you use a token?
So that's when you make Nib. So if I just grab Nib, you summon. Oh, they're in here. You've done 5 summons.
Yeah.
I activate Nibiru. Your board gets wiped because you've gone first. It makes a token. It's so certain cards specifically make tokens.
Right.
This makes basically another Nibiru token, so it is an level 11 light monster, so you can use it for synchros and stuff. But this just represents, so if you don't have the actual token,
Yeah.
which will have the certain other stuff, if you read the text on this token, this card can be treated as any token.
Right.
As long as you both establish the attack, the level, the type, the attribute, it's fair game, because it's not always easy to have the correct token. Like I've seen one person with the Nibiru token. That's just not many. You get that with tokens. So that's no, I've done it the wrong way around. I thought something was wrong. That's how. But then again, some people will play like that to their left-handed. A couple of people might flip it. So you can draw your 5. And this time we'll be assuming you're going first.
Okay.
Just because this deck can go first. Okay. Oh. Okay, so you've got Ghost Spell, Alistair, Effect Failure, Maiden, and Muscle Tonus. And yes. So you have full combo in a couple of ways.
So that's the one that you changed for
True Light, yes.
True Light. So would that be the one to start with?
Yeah, we can start with that, definitely. So you discard it to graveyard. Grab your deck. Yeah.
Fine.
True Light's on the bottom, fortunately for you. And then you play it face up straight away.
Right, okay.
Which means you can now, if you wanted to, you could go True Light effect for wishes.
Right.
So
okay.
you've set the wishes. So find one of them. It's called Wish. Well, yeah, that one.
That one.
Yeah. So you set that face down on your spell slot. This is not a quick play spell or trap. Right. That means you are allowed to activate it now.
Okay.
Or on your turn. I wouldn't until you've got going.
Okay.
So, what would your next play be? You want to go normal summon in?
I'd say this is...
So that is a tune and can be normal summon, but that's a hand trap predominantly.
Okay. So was it a normal summon I wanted?
Yes.
So with this
yeah, Alistair would be best.
Okay.
So you normal Alistair.
Here.
Yeah. Well, any of them, but yeah. Then you go effect of Alistair.
So effect of Alistair.
You search out invocation. Oh, you put your deck wrong way round.
Right,
But doesn't matter when we're practicing, but you'd never do that in a...
Right.
So there's just one spell called invocation in there. And it's got a dragon card with like a circle thing. I can't remember. I don't know the best way to describe it. I'll just know it when I see it. This is why we only shuffle end of turn. There you go.
There we go.
So you add it to hand, but you do not play it yet.
Right, so add it to hand. Okay.
No. Now you need to start your blue eyes combo first.
Right.
So, can you remember what I went into?
No.
From there? So you go to your extra deck.
This one?
Yeah. And at the bottom, there's a link one, Spirit.
Yeah.
You make blue eyes with Spirit.
Right,
so in one of the extra monster zones.
There.
Oh, and just because you went like that, link monsters have to be an attack.
Ah.
They have an attack stat.
Yep.
They don't have a defense stat.
Right. Okay.
So they can at all. So they cannot be
Right.
put. So then you go spirit effect.
Okay.
Add mausoleum of whites to hand from deck.
So add this
Yeah.
white. Oh, which happened to be on
That's yeah.
useful.
So then you play that.
So that's here.
Yeah. You then activate that.
Okay.
So you put a blue eyes. So you target this.
Yes.
Blue eyes from deck
Blue
to
eyes.
graveyard.
Right, hang on. Right.
Either one of the blue eyes white dragons.
That one?
Yeah, that one will do. You've got to that one first. So it goes to graveyard.
Goes to graveyard.
This technically has 800 more attack.
Okay.
Now, this is where I'd activate wishes, because you need another, like, oh no, you've got maiden, so you could either activate wishes or you could go spirit, summon blue eyes. It doesn't matter. 1, 2, 3. Yes, it does matter. It does matter.
That's because?
You will play around nib, so you could actually activate invocation now.
Okay. Activate individual.
So so you play that in the spell. You will banish your blue eyes and your Alistair.
Right, so they're
Yeah.
banished.
Yeah, face up.
Oh, face
These
up.
ones banish face up.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is critical because you need it. You then go into your extra deck.
Right.
And you're looking for Infote Macabre.
That one?
Yeah, that one will do. There's 2 of them, so it doesn't
Yep.
matter which one. And put that in any of these. Right, you now have your nib protection in 1, 2, 3 summons.
Right.
So now you kind of don't care what's happened. So now I'd probably activate the wishes.
So turn that over?
Yeah. Discard ghost spell. It's just not needed.
So on the file?
Yeah. And then I'd search Sage and Raw from deck.
Sage and Raw.
Yeah.
And I can pull both of those out?
Yeah. So this is what wishes effect is.
Alright, so there's a Sage.
Yeah.
There?
Yeah, we'll go to hand.
Oh, sorry, go to hand.
And then Raw. There's 2 of them and it's another dragon's picture on the spell. That one? Yeah. So they both go to hand.
Right.
Now, you've got the situation. You've got 1 blue eyes in deck, 1 in banished.
Right.
You activate Raw.
Okay.
You can then choose to either summon blue eyes from deck or from banished. I've picked banished.
Okay, because then you've got both.
You've got both.
Right.
Summons out in defence, it has to.
Right.
Now, then, summon Sage. You get a second normal summon because of Mausoleum of White. So, you summon Sage.
I push it down?
Yep. And
in that one.
Sage effect.
Yeah.
I'd add a Failure. Another one of these.
Oh, right.
There's 3 of them. So,
Right.
no,
Oh,
you add another one.
Right.
In deck, yeah. So you are not going to end on quite the same as I had because of the nature of the cards you pulled. I know they're in there.
Maybe I've gone past it.
You might have done. It does happen sometimes.
Yeah, let's try again.
You do sometimes have to go through your deck a couple of times. That's one.
Yeah.
So you add that to hand. Then you're gonna synchro these 2.
Bring them together.
Put them. Yeah, bring them together. Put them in graveyard and go with spirit with. So not that spirit. The synchro spirit. So white background. So we need to move back. And it'll be that one. Blue Eye Spirit Dragon.
Blue Eye Spirit Dragon.
You always summon this one in defence.
Yep.
Then you've not used Spirit effect. So you tribute into graveyard to summon out Blue Eyes.
So
That, you just literally just put them into graveyard.
oh right, okay.
And then you bring out the Blue Eyes White Dragon underneath. Because that's
okay.
summoned.
Right.
And it doesn't matter which way. Now, we're going to make Tyrant. Once you can't make a second spirit, so we're just going to make Tyrant. So you take your wishes and you banish it. This one you banish.
Oh right, sorry.
Yeah.
So you banish wishes.
And then you go back into your extra deck.
Right.
So there's Neo Ultimate. It's the last of the fusions. That one.
Right, okay.
And you put into the spell and trap zone. Cause then you take these two. Keep that in hand.
All right.
You take these two.
Yes.
Put them into graveyard.
Okay.
And then you go to the Tyrant Dragon, which is that one.
Okay.
And then summon him out.
That way?
For attack. He's always an attack, this one.
He's attack, right.
So then, you'd set that. So that's the way up.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd set it. And then, you'd pass. And then, when standby phase, I would activate Blue Eye Spirit to tag out into the ultimate.
Right.
Do I do another hand? Or not?
Let's do one more.
Yeah. So, do you see what I mean? Whereas, Gizmex is old and in some ways slightly more straightforward. This has slightly more thinking behind it. Yeah, I go main deck. But you see what I mean?
Yeah.
They're completely different play, and this one's got more combos.
Yeah, we're going to teach you how to shuffle.
Yes, I'm going to teach you how to shuffle. One of the things you can practice, as well as the decks. Now so this is easy.
They're easier to shuffle than a normal pack of cards.
The sleeves help.
Right. Will that do for now? Just good.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if I we'll just give it a cut.
Oh yeah, you give it.
Just so. I'm not saying you're able to do that, but it's just good practice.
Yeah.
And then draw 5. Metal Tronus, Ash Blossom, Imperm, Raw, Ghost. Oh.
That's not a good one, is it?
This is not a good hand. So the play here, well, you have two options.
Would we set the trap?
Set the trap. Yeah, so you set the trap. You roar to special summon Blue Eyes out in defence.
So there.
Yeah. So Blue Eyes in your deck. Doesn't matter which one. Just grab one of them. Yeah.
That one?
Either. So defence position. That goes to graveyard. You set the Metal Tronus.
Right. So
that one.
Like that
Yeah.
one.
You have two choices. So
sorry,
that stays in hand.
So, yeah.
You can normal that because that will activate from field. Or you keep it in hand to keep it hidden. It doesn't actually matter.
So I could put that out and add to my defence?
No, you have to normal it in attack.
Oh right, okay.
You set in defence, you normal in attack.
Ah, right, okay.
Or you keep in hand, it will play from both.
Right, okay.
So that's hidden information.
Right, yes.
Because then you pass.
Yeah.
In the Blue Eyes mirror match. Well, hey. You imperm them on. You let their first one go through. So say they've gone Sage.
Yeah.
Let them add their hand. They go. The link one. You go imperm. It can't tribute. Can't get the field spell out. Then you really mean. You go Metal Tronus.
Yeah.
You still have the second one. You summon.
Yes.
Oh no, it's also called Spirit with Eyes of Blue. They're both face down. You've left your opponent with nothing. in theory, or very not full combo. They can't make the full board.
Right.
This is the risk of. This is what happens when you play a hand trap heavy deck. Sometimes you're going raw, set to, pass, and hoping that's enough. Whereas the Gizmex, if you noticed, it bricked less.
Yes.
And even when it did, but that's because it's got a small number of board breakers and more monsters. It's the ratio of the deck. It's playing more monsters and less spells and traps. I think it's only got. Does it even have? Well, anyway, yeah, it's got less, but which means it plays more.
Right.
But this is mid-range, kind of rogue, mid-range, so can hold its own. Gizmex isn't even rogue; it's just not really played anymore.
Oh. Right.
So this is the competitive one,
Yes.
and if you play the full bestial package or Primite, which are expensive, I'm going to put that one out there. It's a few hundred for Primite engine. It's knocking on 90 to 100 for full bestial engine, if you can even find some of the monsters.
Right.
They're better, but this is arguably one of the better budget ones, I'd argue. One, you play around Nib. The Synchro engine's not too bad, actually. That's a cheap one. If you go full Synchro, apart from Spirit and Seals. And maybe a Tyrant, depending on the package. But I'm one card away of having Enthroned and the Synchro package in one deck, which would help it in two fronts. It would give me more range of play. But yeah, what did you think of that Blue Eyes deck?
Plays very differently, doesn't it? And the combinations, if you get the right cards, are longer. But if you don't get the right combination, you're quite stuck.
Yes, that is the problem with Blue Eyes and why it gets carried by the Primite engine. The Primite engine works with normal monsters, has some really good effects, but even with some of the cards being reprinted, the other cards have gone up in price, so it's actually stayed the same. Waiting for more reprints before that one gets cheaper. It looks fun, but personally, I quite like how this plays. I'd say I'd have more of the field spell, because then you're more likely to hit the Infant engine. But yeah, so yeah, that's that. Next time we'll be playing an open hand game, so we can see interaction and plays and how board breakers and hand traps work. So I'll see you next week. Bye.